This is our first webinar for the school year 2025-2026, and we have two other ones coming, but I am excited about this. And just so you all know, most of the questions you pose, the um, the number of questions that we post about this is why I decided to do this webinar first. So there are several webinars that we offer that are truly based on parent question, parent calls, or data from working with schools. So this webinar is really because it was requested by a lot of families. So listening beyond words, how do you hear what your two child is really saying? So I would like to welcome you all again and thank you for taking this time to join us today. And I want to talk about the goal of today. This is the outcome that I hope that we get at the end of this day. Recognizing how twice exceptional 2E communicate beyond words. Understand the role of behavior, because behavior, we say the word behavior, but I always say behavior. That word behavior, I'm going to be honest with you, is very triggering to me. Emotions and sensory cues in expressing needs and frustrations. Hopefully, we'll learn practical strategies to respond appropriately and then to strengthen family relationships through intentional listening and understanding. I always say intentional listening, but I know that we're so distracted even as families. I used to tell my children when they were younger, when I come to pick you up, I will not be on my phone. I will not be talking to someone. Even now when I go to pick up my children from the airport or when I go to or they come to visit me, I'm very intentional about listening and asking the right question because they have a few moments to see if we're listening or not, and then they disengage from us. So this is what we hope to accomplish today. So we're going to do some question and answers today. I want you to share a moment when your child's behavior spoke louder than the words. Your child's behavior spoke louder than their words. So please type into the question and answer. This is going to be interactive. I want to hear what you all have to say.
So right now we have one that says silence speak louder than words almost always.
Okay.
We have another one shutting down, becoming non-responsive.
Okay. Anyone else?
Right now we don't have any other, but we do see one of the participants that has her hand raised, Kim Hemio.
Yes, the Q&A is activated now. You can actually post your question there, Kim, if you please.
Yeah. Please post your question there.
So it says hitting and pushing.
Hitting and pushing, yes. Yes, that's a behavior. That's communication right there.
Physical aggression.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so those are all behaviors that they're they're communicating, but oftentimes because we do not know what they're saying, we think we do not know how to respond. So I'm just glad that you all are recognizing that behavior is not always the way we think it is. And give me a moment. So that's very cool because their behavior is a means of communication. Every behavior is a means of communication. That's why I said the word behavior is very triggering to me because my child was also labeled behavior defiant. That word sticks to me till today. She was labeled defiant because she will not do what you ask her to do without explaining the why and then giving her time to process. So oftentimes we'll tell her to do something and then she hasn't had enough time to process and then we'll say, what? And then she's like, I don't know what you're asking me for. And then the more you push, the more angry she becomes. So that's every behavior is a means of communication. So thank you all for sharing. So what makes 2E learners unique? And the brain is not equally divided. Just so you know, the brain of the strengths is not equally divided as their challenges. So there's nobody, my 2E child is a neurosurgeon now. And every time I ask her, how's the brain? She said, Mom, the brain is the most intricate organ we have. But it has synapses and there's several controls that even as surgeons they haven't figured out. And when she would say to me, she's like, "Mom, when we're doing surgery on the brain, we want the patient to keep talking because part of the brain that we're doing surgery to, we want them to be talking so that we do not lose our connection in those side of brain. So the strengths and the challenges are not distinct. So, but we all know that TUI kids come with exceptional strengths. The word is exceptional, exceptional strength, and they also have those learning and social emotional challenges. For this webinar, we're going to be focusing on those challenges because sometimes they're communicating their strength, but most times when they're not talking or doing anything, they're communicating frustration with challenges. So we'll look at that today. So communication is more than words. In fact, research tells us that 30% of our communication is words. The rest are we use our tone. So what we see from the iceberg is just 30%, the words. The rest are hidden. The tone, the facial expression, the body language, the behavior, those are all communication ways that the kids, some TUI kids, everybody, that's how we all communicate, not just TUI kids. So we have 30% words, but when you look closely to people's tone, you can read the hidden messages, facial expression, body language, and the behavior. Those aggressive, those throwing, those running up the stairs, those banging the table, those throwing the desk, those are all behavior that is under the iceberg that we often don't see. You know, they're happy, they're sad, they're neutral. Those are all behavior that is a means of communication. And you all have recognized this behavior. I know you're here because you've seen that refusal. Nope, that body language, I'm not going to do it. I'm folding my hands and don't even come close to me. Or that yelling back when you're like, okay, why are you yelling? Because in their head, everything you're saying is giving them so much stress that the only way they can communicate with you is by yelling, like, I don't want to do it. Or shutting down, putting their head down, eyes down in the dark room, don't want to talk to you, shut the door. Those are all means of communication. So we're going to talk about how do we understand common TUI student children communication. And when they refuse to do a task, it could be due to anxiety or perfectionism, meaning I can't do it because it's not going to be perfect and I'm not going to try because if it's not going to be perfect, then I'm just not going to do it because I don't see how I can make it perfect, so I'm not going to do it. Or it just could be a lot of things are going around. A lot of things in my environment are just too much for me. Too much color, too much noise. Sometimes I walk into classroom. The other day I walked into a classroom and there was lavender. It was like, I guess the teacher thought it was a good idea, but that scent, that smell was even overwhelming to me. And so sometimes at home, we put all the sensory stuff, especially during the holidays. There could be so much stuff going on. The music is playing, the light is going off. That could be sensory overload for a kid. And but it suits us, but it doesn't suit them. And so they're anxious. They come into the room and they don't even know, like things are no longer familiar. Like you're gonna go on a trip, you're gonna go to Thanksgiving, you're gonna, you're inviting somebody to the house, or they're going to start a new school, or they're starting a new game, or like a new activity, and all this anxiety, and they're refusing. You could have talked to them about it, but because they haven't had enough time to process it, they might still be anxious. So given time, over time, to say, you're going to be starting soccer practice, you're going to be starting this next week. Tell me how you feel. You're feeling excited, or what are your concerns? Because we don't often ask them, are you excited or not? What are you anxious about? You might not know anyone on the field, or you're starting a new school year, you do not think you'll know anyone, your friends are not going to be there, or you're anxious about the cafeteria, or you're anxious about special events at school. Whatever it is, we think it's okay, but we have to prepare them. That's why I always say the home to school communication has to be something that is very, very, very fluid, that we're always communicating what is going on so that because sometimes the behavior might not be at home, sometimes the behavior might be at school, and they might just be refusing because their brain is still trying to process all that is going on, either at home, at school, or a new environment, and it's just a lot. The emotional outburst, like, oh no, the yelling could be due to frustration from unmet expectations. Like, it might not be your expectation of them, it's usually the expectation of themselves. I want to do this, but then it's not going the way I thought, or you're asking them, can I help you? Do you need help? Or you're talking while they're trying to figure it out. That alone could just cause a lot of frustration. Because oftentimes, giving them time to think, we do not give enough wait time. I'm going to be honest with you. We do not give enough wait time even when we're talking to them, we're driving. You can see in their eyes, like, I'm still trying to process the A before the B, and then you're done, and then expecting them to respond. And so that emotional outburst could be over time. Like, I am not doing well, but you're not listening to me, or you don't even know what. I don't want to do this, and you're asking me to do it. And then the only thing they want to do is to scream. Withdrawal or avoidance could be due to the child being overwhelmed, our processing delays, or met strengths. Unmet strengths, we don't often think about it. I always say we start from the strength based approach. So if I'm overlooking a child's strength and trying to focus on the areas they're not doing well, they might just withdraw because I want to do something that makes me happy. And you're wanting me to do something that I don't have any interest in. So I'm just going to avoid it because I don't want to do the other stuff. So I always say, let's always think about what are the strengths and interests. Start with that, chunk the expectation. Talk about, you can take a break. You don't have to do it all now. What are you trying to tell me? Or you are just not, okay, you need time to process. Choosing our words quietly and slowly so they can process. And then you can ask questions. Do you have any questions to ask me? Or what did I just say? But you just can't ramble on or say things or expect them or ask many questions or how was your day? Did you have a good day at school? Who did you talk to? Oh my God, it's like one question. It just becomes like, oh my God, no, I do not want, I don't even know why you're asking me all these questions. How about you ask me, what fun did you have today? What was the best part of your day? And let them process that and talk to you. Maybe later, you can then ask other things. Why was it the best? Why was it the best part of your day? Because you can't just keep doing the rapid fire, rapid question. Their brain can't handle it because most chewy kids processing deficit. Working memory might be slow, but you're just throwing all those things and asking them questions. Do you like your new teacher? Did you make new friends at school? Who did you eat lunch with? All that might just be too much for them to process and give you. So, but their met strength is usually where you start with the strength first. What part of your day was great? So a child being overwhelmed and processing delays, because the processing delay is usually what makes a 2E kid confused most of the time. When they're confused, it's not because they don't know what to do, it's because they're still trying to process. Is this something I want to do? Is it because of trauma of the past? When I say trauma of the past, because if you've done something that you're not good at and somebody keeps bringing that back to you, you're still trying to process. Do I really want to do this? Why do I want to put myself through this again? The last time I did this was not successful. So I'm still trying to process. Do I want to be in this space? How did this being in this space in the past make me feel? So those are all called processing delays. And they're thinking about it, but yet we've moved on. So we need to kind of slow down, hear them out, look at their body tone, their body language, the tone that we're using. And sometimes we think we're talking to them quietly, but we get frustrated and we start raising our voice and our tone starts going up. And that's all they hear. I always say sometimes look in the mirror. Would you want to have that face? Or, you're talking to them, but you're rolling your eyes. They see those things. They see those things. And they're communicating in different ways to you. Like, I don't think so. I'm not there yet. I'm not sure about this. So when they're very quiet, might be where you ask, are you thinking about it? I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about it so we can talk. Let me know when you're ready to talk. Okay. So we're going to talk about identifying the message behind the words. Listening. Listening is the most important means of communication. So when we listen and we teach kids to listen and ask, then we're giving them time to process and giving us time also to process and to look at their voice and look at their faces, then you start to interpret, a little bit quiet, a little bit frowning, hands are beginning to move, the voice is quiet. I'm seeing the wrinkle in the face. Because when you're listening, you're looking as well. So you're using two senses when you're listening. You're listening with your ears, but you're watching with your eyes. So you can interpret the needs, the emotions that they're feeling, and perhaps the frustration. So while you're listening, you're observing emotional cues like facial expression. Like when somebody's excited, they don't need to tell you they're excited. You can see it from their face. And if somebody's frustrated, you can see from the voice, that shaking voice, like they're gonna cry, or or those sound that you're like, okay, that's giving me message, like I'm irritated right now, or I'm just putting my hands in my ears. I don't even want to listen anymore. Those are all cues that you can observe while you're listening. You can also observe some physical cues like fidgeting. Like I have, I have a neighbor's son he's when he's frustrated and he's not wanting to do what he wants, what it's asked to do, he starts to rub his hands, he's pacing, or they just start fidgeting, they're touching something, that for some of them that might be when they bring their sensory toys out because I just need something to regulate my emotions or to just calm me down. They could just remove themselves from the environment. Sometimes we call it elope. They just get out from that environment because it's too much for them. Or they start to steam. And for some of them, it might just be repeating the word over and over, over and over that is driving them crazy, that is stuck in their head. And some of the contextual cues, you might just want to look around the environment. What's going on? What smell? What is the lighting? What time of day is it? What's going on? What did we do before? What are we doing now? What are we going to do next? What are the expectations? What is the level of difficulty of the task that we're asking them to do? So all that stuff while you're listening is what you're observing. And if you're really listening attentively, you will see this cues. They'll give you these cues. And when those cues come into play, you might want to stop, give them time to process, give them time to get their brain to regulate itself, and to not say a word because it might just be you being quiet so they can actually receive it, decide what what they want to do with all that information, or they want to ask questions. So using the Q&A, I want you to share one behavior of your 2E child that you find hardest to interpret. One behavior that you find so hard to interpret.
We have not responding.
Not responding. When your child is not responding, you might just want to give time to go back and give them time to breathe, to relax. Maybe I always say give 3 minutes. 3 minutes is usually a lot of time. 3 minutes to then say, okay, did I go too fast? Did they even understand what I said? Because when you give that 3 minutes, you're not saying a word, you're saying, I noticed that you were listening. Don't always assume that they were not listening. So you always come back from the strength. I noticed that you were listening. Am I wrong? Did you hear everything? Or would you like me to repeat it slower? Would you like to respond in a different way? Do you want to write it? Do you want to take your time to respond? Because that responding at that time might not be when they want to respond. They might still be processing it. So giving time to say, you know the 3 minutes. They don't have to know that you're giving them 3 minutes. In your head, you're like, okay, 3 minutes while you're looking away, because looking at them intently might be very uncomfortable. Or saying, do you know what you're saying? Do you know what you're saying? Their voice can also create more anxiety for them. So they're just 3 minutes of quiet. And then you come back and you say, I noticed that you were taking your time to listen. Or was I wrong? Would you like me to repeat what I said slowly? Or would you like me to write it down so you can actually read or process? And if it's a child that cannot read, you can say, do you want me to show you? And then you can process and then tell me what you think. Would you like rather have this or this? I'm showing you pictures of two different things. And I'm going to give you time to process. You always use that word. I'm giving you time to process. You're basically empowering them, giving them a sense of agency by saying, I'm giving you time to process and I'm going to come back to you.
We also have blank expression on his face.
Blank expression on his face, that's confusion. I don't know what's going on. Like that blank means have no clue. And you're like, okay, I noticed that you do not seem to understand what I said. Am I wrong? Always phrase every question by am I wrong? Because your perception might be wrong. So you're just saying, this is my observation. Am I wrong? And I'm just gonna wait. Would you like me to repeat what you want? Or would you like me to show you? Because most of the time we do the talking, their brain is not able to get all that information verbally. It's always good to say, would you like me to show you? Would you like me to model it for you? Because modeling might be, okay, show me what you want me to do, or show me how to do it. This is an example. You don't have to do it perfectly. Would you like to try? You're inviting them to try because if the expectation is that you must get it right or in their head, you're not saying it, but that's what they're thinking. So that blank stare will be like, oh, I don't even know what she wants me to do. So it's just reading them, but always going back to say, am I wrong? Would you like me to explain? Would you like me to model? Or would you like me to just give you time to process? You're always giving them that room to negotiate. Because Every behavior is a means of communication. Every. So it's just that blank stare is, I don't know what you're expecting of me, but I don't even know how to tell you. So you're going to read them. You're working extra hard as a Chewy mom. You're always, or a Chewy dad, you're working extra hard because not only do you have to figure out what they're thinking, but you always have to come from the strength base, giving them opportunity to say, no, that's not what the case is. What does your brain need right now? Does your brain need me to be quiet? Does your brain need me to move away? Does your brain just need time to process? It's giving them permission to understand that. Okay.
More shared behaviors. Thank you. Start crying out of the blue.
Crying out of the blue. We say out of the blue, but they might have been thinking about something that now is finally, they're now feeling, I can't do this. This is too much for me. I'm frustrated because that timing of the crying might not be the timing of what the reason for the crying. It could be something that has gone on over time and they haven't shared with you. And then all of a sudden, everything just hits. Or it might be something that triggers it. It might be saying, oh, the last time we went to blah, 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 we had so much fun. You never asked them if they had fun. So now you bring this thing up that they didn't really enjoy because they didn't even have a way to tell you they didn't enjoy it. And then you'll say, okay, we're going to do, and then the crying starts. The crying is expressing the frustration in, that's not what I want to do, or that's not something that brought me joy. In fact, I had a lot of trauma from that. So it's saying, oh, I know, you're crying. What are you trying to communicate with me? Using that word communication is like telling them that you know that crying is something they're communicating, frustration, they're communicating, lack of understanding. So, what are you trying to communicate? I'm going to give you time. I'll come back. Would you like me to give you space? And sometimes they might not respond when you want them to. So you might just move a little bit, not too far, not too close, so that if they really want you to give them space, because they might say no or say yes. If they say yes, they want you to give them space, don't move too far away because they might say yes but mean no. So you always watching for the body language. Don't go too far so you're still close enough to say, give them tissue paper to wipe their tears. Would you like water? But you say things and you let them, don't keep saying the same thing or say more things because their brain just gets like, I can't even tell you right now. This might not be the good time. Or I'm just gonna wait for you to let me know what caused this reaction. What are you trying to communicate by crying? I do not understand. I would love to know so I can help you. I'm feeling as frustrated as you are because I do not know what you're trying to communicate. Okay, any other one?
Yes, we do have some chewing fingers at school causing self-injury and need to go to the nurse for a band-aid. Also scratching her arms or face or stomp her feet.
Okay, so that is self-infliction. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, some of them like to feel pain. It's almost like I'm going to feel pain so I can escape this environment. The environment might be, like I said, what's the contextual environment that is causing me to escape? I will be wanting to know what time, how long, what was the antecedent behavior, what happened before then, what, yeah, because it might be seeking attention because they're not getting any attention from either what is happening in school or what is happening in the classroom at that environment. The nurse might be somebody who gives them the uh the attention they need, but it's a behavior that says I want to escape whatever I'm doing right now, but I'm gonna hurt myself because they also start to enjoy the pain, self-inflicted wound. They start to enjoy that pain of this feels good. The pain actually makes me feel good because it gets me out of what I'm supposed to be doing at this time.
Also, we have lying about completing a task.
Okay, so we use the word lie, but in their head, if they're lying or they're not telling you the truth, they don't want to do that task. So or they do not have the skill to do the task. The task might be something they enjoy, but no skill. You might want them to do this, do this, do this, but do they have the skills to actually engage in the task? The skills might be executive function. It might be, I don't even know where to start. Or I started, now I don't even know. I wanted more. I wanted to do more, but now I don't feel like doing it anymore. They can start. Some of them don't know how to start. Some of them don't know how to, continue perseverance. Some of them don't know how to end it. So it might just be chunking the task and finding out what are the skills they need. Can they organize their thoughts? My child used to struggle to write. So any writing task would be a challenge. So I can chunk it. Like, how about you brainstorm your ideas first? Brainstorm your ideas. Then she loves to cut things out. Okay, would you like to cut down all this information and put them in order of how you're going to write it? That's why they have the extended time. So sometimes we say they have extended time, but we often give them the time at school, or the school doesn't give them the time because they don't even know the why of the time. But all the stuff is still the processing delay. So they say, I'm done. In their head, they're done because that's all I really can do. But to us, is a lie. But in their perception is real. Perception is, I'm done. I'm done all I need to do in this task. But if we chunk the task and say, you do this later, you do this a little bit, so they can see that they don't have to do it all at the same time, that we are willing to chunk it and seeing success. I know you don't want to finish it right now, but I'm going to chunk this so you can finish later. You have extended time. But I want you to work at it a little bit at a time. Perseverance and praise the effort, not the product. Okay.
Thank you. One last reaction. A child responds in an angry way over a simple question. Just ask it to start a simple conversation. And also responding, I do not know, when trying to communicate or asking questions.
Yeah, that word I do not know is I probably don't understand everything. So, or they just scream or respond saying, I do not have all the information. Everything goes back to working memory and processing deficit. That emotional aspect of I haven't processed everything. I don't even have the working memory to understand everything you've asked me to say. Can you model what you might just see that body language and say, okay, let me model what I want you to do. Or let's just go back. What did you hear and what did you not? What did you hear? Because you don't when you ask them what they did not hear, they don't know what they did not hear. What did you hear from what I asked you to say? Or what I just asked you? Did you hear everything? This is what I asked you. Did you hear this or did you not hear this? Okay, let me repeat myself. I'm going to repeat myself slowly. And then can you tell me what you heard? Or then you can say, oh, you heard this, but you didn't hear this. Okay, I said this, then I said this. Why did I want you to do this? The why of what we're asking them to do is more important than the what. Why and how. We often think they know the how, but we have to tell them the why and then how. Give them an example of how. Visible thinking. When I'm asked to do this, I will think about how many things I need to buy. Like if I'm like I want to make food, but I have to think about what do I need? I write my list and then I thinking where would I buy this? How much would it cost? You're sharing your thoughts so they can start hearing that you're thinking, you're visibly thinking and sharing your ideas with them. Okay, so let's go on. So these are strategies for listening. Like I said, listening is the most important means of communication. You're listening before you respond. You pause, you observe, step back before reacting. You always have to step back. I even teach my husband when my kids like put your hands down so they're not seeing your hand moving and then thinking you're angry. Step back before you react. What are you thinking, honey? What did you hear me say? Validate their feelings. I see that you're frustrated. That makes sense. You're frustrated after a long day at school. You're frustrated because I keep asking you to do the same thing over and over. That's I see that. Ask open-ended questions. Can you tell me more? Can you tell me more why you're feeling anxious? Why your eyebrow is moving? Why your voice is cracking? Can you tell me more? I do not know why you might be. what you're trying to communicate with your body, with your face, with your hands? Can you tell me more? Would you like to just pause? Would you like me to pause so you can process? You're giving them control, agency, giving them control to be part, to take control of what they're thinking, what they're feeling, because sometimes the trauma of the past controls the behavior of the now. They felt trauma about this particular thing before, and right now their behavior is, ooh, don't want to do this anymore. Did not enjoy that. They don't want to engage in this. Like even Thanksgiving brings a lot of fear. Like those times where everybody's in the room and the expectations and everybody's happy, it might just be a time for a lot. Sensory overload. Use visual supports. Even with your little ones, would you would you like to do this or that? Would you like to eat this or this? Do you prefer this or that? Using some visuals. Schedule always works. I can never tell you all how much I spent on those big calendars and chart papers. Those big chart papers and the emotional wheel that I talked about my last webinar last, those emotional wheel. I even have little ones that I keep on my desk and just put the spinner, put a schedule. These are things that would happen that we're going to be doing today. Can you take a moment to look at that day schedule? Do you have any questions about something that is on that schedule or a checklist? I want you to do this. I want you to clean your room, or I want you to do this. First, you do this, then you do this, and give them opportunity to check it off so they start to see progress. I want you to do your homework. This is the schedule. First, you brainstorm. After you brainstorm, you can take a 5 minutes break. Then you start to organize your thoughts, put in the numbers, which one goes first. Everything that they have a visual control, you're giving them or emotion that like I said, that emotional chart. My child still has it in her room. I made a big chart of it, and we will all have a spinner so that when we came home, everybody would spin and show how they were feeling. If I'm exhausted, I'll just move my spinner to, like I wrote everybody's name, mom, dad, Tara, Tope. And then I can walk around and say, oh, Tara had a great day. Can you share with us? It gave us a means of communicating our emotions. But the schedule and checklist, even with my older daughter who was not too ill, we all used it. I had a big chart paper, those chart papers that we use for projects. I would stick it on their doors, and everybody would write things that needs to happen today. The older they got control of it. When they were younger, I would write everything on the schedule, and I'll see them crossing it out as they did it, and then I'll see what was left at the end. But I would get their input when I'm making the schedule. Like what comes first? Why do we want to do this before this? Even with homework, you want to do your math homework before this. You want to read the book before this. Then I'll make a list. And then whatever's left at the end that wasn't accomplished, I'll say, when is this due? Do you want to move this forward for tomorrow? It's just having a way visual so that everybody's on the same page, and it helps them to express words don't come freely when your brain isn't working the way you want it to work, when your brain is different. The words don't come out the way you want it to come out. Even though you want it to come out, it's taking too long for you to process it. Sometimes you're overthinking it, and then it becomes a lot of jumble. Always collaborate with school, whatever schedule, whatever works for you. Share your cues and strategies with schools for consistency. If your child loves to have a checklist, then share with that. If your child loves a visual, share that with. If the emotional wheel is working with emotional wheel or chart is working well at home, you want to share that with the school. But the key important thing is to listen. You're going to listen more than you talk with them. Families are partners with school. Everything we do, I want it to be able to work with schools. Because if you're doing something at home and the school is doing something differently, it doesn't work. Families are partners with school. We want to build trust and emotional safety. So if your child is feeling safe at home, or your child is having lots of meltdown at school, at home, but not at school, we also want to share that with schools because your child might just be bottling up all that emotion and trying so hard to get through the day and then collapse at home. We want to share that because the school might not be seeing it, but by sharing it with the school might want to build in some break time and just to say, I hope you're doing well. Because if you're not checking in with them during school because they're doing very well, you think, but at home they're falling apart. Recognizing their strengths and how they express it in sometimes in unusual ways. A child might express their strength in a very different way that you want them to, but is recognizing, oh, wow, you love to do this, either because of the way their voice went up, or the way they jumped up, or the way they paused and smiled. Those are all expressing strength. If your child is seeing a therapy, like my child has been in therapy since fifth grade, there's times where she'll say, Mom, I would like you to join this therapy. Could you join me from this time? And I'll say, why? She said, yeah, last week we kind of, you and I couldn't agree on this, and I was just trying to figure out why. But it's working with everybody, therapists, educators, to decode behavior. Because those behavior, not until we decode it, we're missing their way of communicating with us. We have to maintain patience because we want to get through it fast and figure it out fast. But patience is the key word, and empathy. I'm sorry you feel this way. It makes sense that you do not understand what I'm saying because I went too fast. Okay? I've said this before, tips for every day. Observe the behavior before reacting. Reflect back what you noticed. What did you notice before that behavior, or what actually made the behavior better? Always offer choices and structure. The structure for me was always having a calendar where everybody had an agenda. The post-it notes that we stuck on the door, the big post-it notes for everybody to write their schedule, they had it on their door. But my calendar, the big calendar we all shared as a family, we had a routine. After school, time to decompress, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, no talking. And sometimes if they wanted to talk, I let them take charge of that time. And sometimes I pick up from school and they don't want to talk, but I can always wait. But that decompression time, have your snack, just breathe. Just sometimes they want to listen to music, the older they got. But then I'll be like, okay, the time, are you looking at the time, honey? What time is it? But the schedule outside their door help them to know that there's time to decompress, there's time to start doing it. But coming right away and just talking to them might not be what they want. Okay. And celebrate success and strength. You you put up with this, you listened and asked questions, you asked for clarification. I saw the expression in your face, and when I asked you, you actually communicated yes or no, and you shared what your brain needed. Key takeaways: every behavior is communication. You observe, you validate, collaborate with the child, with your school, with other people that are in the child's life, respond with empathy, strength based approach, meaning you're starting with something you know that they enjoy or what they like to do first. Consistency across home and school is powerful. And now we're going to go into the question and answer session. Like I said, but I have some questions that people had posted before. So I'm going to get into those questions and answer.
Okay, before we do actually have a couple of comments in the Q&A and questions. The first
Okay.
one, I recently shared with the school about meltdowns and at home, and that it could mean they are struggling to hold it together at school. The school responded that was the case for all students and that was normal.
No. So a child that is having significant meltdown at home might just be that school was really overwhelming. There was no built-in time. So your suggestion would be the school said, could you please build in some time for just self-regulation, even though he or she might not ask for it. So could you please give just few minutes during the day to just regulate their emotions or just, take a break so that and then talk about how they're feeling before they go to school, if they before they go back home. If the child is very tired after a long day, they're overwhelmed. I mean, when they get home and then they think about all that has to happen again for tomorrow, they have a meltdown because they don't want to go back and do that again. So the school might just be where the trigger is coming from. The behavior is at home, but the trigger might be from school. So just explaining that that's not normal. Kids don't have significant meltdown every day after school. The trigger is from the school. So let's kind of slow down, give time for them to regulate before school ends, and just kind of build in time for that breaks during the day, just emotional breaks, not just because sometimes we say break, then we put the music and we start giving just break to just decompress. Okay. What are the questions?
Thank you. How do I get a daughter to share her feelings? She shuts down when asked to use emotion charts.
So if she shuts down, that means that's not working for her now. You could just say, would you rather use this emotional chat? Because it's a tool. If it's not working for them, you can start using it. Like we used it as an entire family. Like I said, the emotional chat, I put a spinner and I put my name, my husband's name, like my older daughter's name. But I was the one modeling it. Whenever I came home, I would spin it. If I had a great day, I would spin it. Even now, my child has been so trained to say, how was your day, mama? Because I'm trying to model without asking them. I'm showing them I'm expressing my emotion visibly so that everybody can see. And I force my husband to do it because if you model it first, then they start seeing it because it creates a means of communication as a family. Because if my husband forgets to do it, I always text him like, could you please move your emotional chat so we can actually engage in conversation. The child, you might need to model it over time for the child to start seeing. But if absolutely that's not their way of expressing their emotion, then you need to read the body language, read the tone, read the facial expression. It might be texting, it might be writing, a means of communication. They don't have to use the chat, but find a way that they can communicate that is beyond words. Okay.
Okay, we do have a comment and a question as well saying a ton of what you spoke on today applies both to our autistic daughter, however, also our 13 years old son. Would you suggest getting siblings tested also?
Would you suggest getting what?
Getting siblings tested also because the 13 years old is actually having the same behaviors or going through the same issues like the autistic daughter.
Yeah, so it's the behavior is not just specific to, I told you like my older daughter wasn't that didn't have any, not that I know of, but she would say I also go through anxiety, mama. But we made feeling like we all used it. I just used a way I had structure because the structure wasn't just, I always say UDL your home. The structure I put in place for my second child, I put it in place for all of us because if we had that structure, she didn't see herself as so different. She was more accepting of this is normal. And then, like even the post-it note, I will write notes on her door, post-it note by the window in the bathroom, and just a way for me to communicate. Thank you for cleaning up your room. Thank you for talking to me about it. Like I would use a different ways of communication because I knew the words didn't come in. So whatever works for your younger one, try with your older one. Don't just say it's only for one child. It's not only for your tweeting. If you have structure at home, it works for everybody, including you.
Okay, we still have some time. Please add questions to the Q&A. Also, we have another question saying, seeking additional attention by requesting to answer some scripted questions when I am on the phone or talk to someone.
Oh, yeah. So that's attention seeking. So you can talk about the why. When mommy's on the phone, mommy's trying to do something, whatever questions you have, whatever comments, whatever you have to say to me, you can write it and wait for me. You can write it and place it on my desk, but I would answer after the phone. I'm only on the phone for this long. I will give you the attention because you know what it is. You know what they're trying. I'll give you attention after I'm done the phone. When you disrupt me while I'm on the phone, I can give the folks I'm talking to the attention they need and be able to give you the attention you also need. So while I'm on the phone, I promise I'll give you the attention after I'm done with the phone. But if you have something that is an emergency, write it down and give it to me, and I'll read it while I'm on the phone. So you're just trying to tell them, I know you want my attention. I'll give it to you after this. But you have that conversation before, or you remind them, mommy's about to pick up the phone now. So what are you going to do? You write whatever you need to tell me after, but it also can wait. But they always fear that they're going to forget it. So they want to tell you right away. It's also impulsivity. They're really impulsive. So that time to write it down helps them to also process, is that something that is an emergency or not?
Thank you. Please put your questions in the Q&A. There is at the bottom of the screen something that called Q&A. You can press it and you will be able to put questions and also comments if needed. Some of the questions that we got before the session from the people who registered to attend, it was what are some suggestions to help with executive functioning challenges that are embedding classwork?
So executive function challenges, first you have to identify what the executive function challenge is. Because it could be sensory, it could be organization, it could be time, whatever it is. You need to observe and find out what it is because the skills that they do not have is why they can't access what you want them to do. So when you find it out, we don't teach it in the content. You teach it from play. Like if I want to organize, like teaching my child for time management, I always say, okay, did you put it on your phone? How long do you have to do that? Oh, mom, I'm going downstairs to the basement for a while. How long is that? How long is the while, honey? Can you tell me how long? Okay, I'm going to put it on my phone as a reminder because I'm helping her to see that time is not endless. 30 minutes is what you said. I'm going to put, would you like me to remind you 5 minutes before to come upstairs? Okay. So I'm teaching her time management by using a tool. If it's organization of the thoughts, the brain, you can say, okay, why don't you brainstorm? Because oftentimes everything is in their head, but they can't get it down. Whatever it is, sensory, emotional regulation, whatever it is, you're identifying the tool that you might use, but you cannot make that, you can't teach them. You have to explicitly teach them because they do not know it. It doesn't happen by osmosis. You actually have to teach them explicitly. Like that's why I said visible thinking. If I'm angry, if I'm anxious, I talk myself about this. You're showing them, you're modeling all that behavior so they can start seeing those things as normal. We try to make all this behavior normal so they don't see themselves as bad. They see their brain as just different and a different way to approach it. So I put a lot of tools here that I'm just going to go quickly so you can see, like low cost organizational tools for kids because you asked of executive function. So they have lots of tools here. Download picture schedule. There are lots of the countdown clock, supply caddy, color coded supplies. I use that a lot. Pizza box portfolios, wall calendar. Like I told you, these are examples of things you can do that doesn't cost you money. It's already been done, and people have already taken the time to do that. So just knowing when to find it, where to find it. Like I said, I part of doing these webinars is that that I can share some of these tools with you guys. And another one is we've talked about this emoji feeling chart for children, wheels of emotions, free printable feeling chart. How are you feeling? You can feel that. This is one for adults. For this, your 15-year-old child will benefit from that. The other one would be for the children. And then these are references that you can look at. But everything I shared with you guys today, the most important thing I would say, if you want resources that you can use today, tomorrow, is to please go to those resources. And this low cost organizational tool for kids, you're going to love it. Everything about this I use when my kids, and they keep updating it. There's so many new things that were not there when my children were younger. So that's a site that you might want to, keep checking, see what they have, but they have tons of stuff. And if you find anything that is working for your child, share with the school. Share with the school. Don't wait till the IEP. Share with the school and say, I found a tool that works for my child. And I would like to share with you. Can I come after school so I can show you how it works? Can you schedule a time for a short meeting so I can share with all the teachers? Share it with the school. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So actually, we will be sharing the links when we share the presentation slides and the recording link with all of you next week. But we do have a common saying. I like to suggest of adding I am wrong. Yesterday after school, I misunderstood a story my child shared, and I was disappointed in her behavior in what I understood that she said. She shut down, and much later that evening, she was able to share that I heard her wrong. The story was different, and I felt bad that I was upset with her.
Thank you. Listening, listening. Move, take yourself away from me. Don't make it about yourself. Thank you for sharing that. But their perception is real to them. What they're feeling, they think is real. And what you are feeling, you think is real. But giving them time to say, I think we misunderstood each other. Like I just shared with you that my child thought I was very upset with her because I was actually rushing to do something. And then when she was talking to me, I was rushing. And she said, Mom, what's going on? And I had to apologize. She said, What? You're not listening. I said, I was rushing to do something. So that's why I said intentional listening. So sometimes she will text me and say, When is a good time to talk? And you have to get kids to know that there's a good time and there's not a good time. If you want me to give you good attention, can we talk later? Can you write it so you don't forget, so that they don't feel like you're just disregarding them from, sharing what they want to talk about? Thank you all. This has been so fun because I had got to hear from. That's the goal, is not to have too many slides, but make it so you all can interact during the presentation. Because the questions and all that stuff helps me to actually know that we're taking away something from this. So thank you all for being here.
So if we can take just one last comment. You're right
Yeah.
about delayed reactions. My son said, I hate you to one of the kids, and he was asked to apologize. At home, he mentioned he was hit by him.
Yeah. So why? The why of the behavior. Why did you do that? Do you know why you did that? Do you think you can tell me why? Do you know how it made them feel? Do you want them to be your friend? Because you're helping them to think. I always say you become their brain because their brain is different, but you help them to think normal, the way we say neurotypical people think, because for them, neurodiverse brain doesn't work the way our brain works. And every brain is different, but you're just trying to help them to see that they're not bad. They just made a mistake or made a choice that they're not even proud of. So thank you all for sharing and for all these comments. I enjoyed this as much as you all enjoy, because it brings a lot of joy and help us to know that this is a networking session. We're all trying to deal. I have my own adult child. Like she's gonna call me very soon because I told her at 11:30 she can call me. She wants to talk. So, but I give her time. Like you can call me at this time. That way she's respecting my time. I'm also respecting her time.
Thank you. So we have actually posted in the chat a survey for your feedback. Please make sure that you are filling out that survey to make sure that we are getting all your comments and questions for future sessions. Also, I invite you all, and we hope to see you all for our upcoming session on February 20th, The Social Lives of 2E Students, Friendship, Belonging, and Identity. We hope to see you all there. And if you do not mind, Dr. Oladamiji, we do have one last question. What do we do if our brain is different too? I'm horrible at reading body language. I'm trying, but it's not my strong point.
It's not your strong point. So what I would say is you have to practice. You practice when they are not having those issues. You say, Mommy's trying to learn how to read body language. So let me know, did I get this correct? You're practicing so they see that you're also learning, that you're not perfect, because what they think is that we're perfect. You tell them, I'm having a hard time reading body language. But let's put on a play, like, let's take turns. Can you read my body language? Did I get it right? You are practicing with them when they're not having those meltdowns. Okay, so you're practicing. Oh, are you happy now? Are you sad? So you're doing the practice as a almost like a family activity. So they start seeing that you're getting it better. You're doing better at reading their body language and their tone. Okay.
Uh, Also, we would like to know if there is any helping dialogue scripts that they can get for doing those conversations.
I would send it to you because I actually have. Let me stop sharing, and I have something that I use for schools ask for that, so it's not just you families. So um I have um I have something that I will put in the I'll send it to you. It says replace how was your day with something open. I'm glad you're home. Let's just relax a bit. I have prompts that you can use.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I have a couple of ones that I wrote for a teacher that asks a teacher whose child is also 2E. So I can add it to this so you all can have it. But they're not perfect, they're just examples, and you can build from that and just make it yours. But it's just examples to give you tools to start to communicate with your child.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Oladamiji. We will be adding that to the resources that we will be sending with the recording. So if you don't have more questions, I guess this will be the end of our session today. Thank you so much for all the valuable information, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming session, all of you, and I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you all.